Well, Paul, you don't fail to disappoint, do you? First of all, you're not supposed to just watch 2 minutes of each video, you're supposed to watch the whole thing. I have lost incalculable amounts of time that I wish I could get back watching videos posted by you and other anti-feminists. Those are minutes that I have lost forever. I can't have that time back. So, you have to put in the effort for this also. Now, let's be clear on something here, okay? First of all, belittling my channel and myself means nothing to me, Paul. That is not what is at issue here. What is at issue here are the facts, the information as presented by the CDC and the Justice Department. You have made the clear claim. Rocking Mr. E has done it. All of you and the other anti-feminists have done this. The clear claim that sexual assaults happen to men just as much as women do. You have based this on apparently something that the Green Fairy in the Absinthe told you when you were in Prague one night getting drunk. Because I can't find those statistics. In fact, everything that you talk about cannot be independently verified with any kind of real research. We talked about the Capaldi problems. We talked about the problems with that other study. All these are very manifest problems. So, what needs to happen now is for you to address the information as presented in the CDC study. We aren't even talking about a close margin of error, okay? We're talking about an order of magnitude greater for women to be sexually assaulted than men. That does not diminish what has happened to those 1% of men. In fact, it, to me, points that we need to begin looking at this as a human issue, and that we need to start representing and providing services, however unlikely to be used for the most part, that would be adequate for both male and female victims of said assault. That includes in prisons, because contrary to popular belief, yes, people who go to prison do horrible things often, that does not mean that we can treat them like they're nothing more than trash. They surrendered their humanity by doing what they did. That does not mean we surrender our humanity. That's what separates us from them often. So the services will need to be offered for both. We do not accomplish that by accusing women of being just as violent as men. Now, one of my subscribers posted some statistics that I'm going to throw at you simply because I think they are pertinent and they come out of the Psychological Diagnostic Manual, and I believe it's the most recent edition, if I remember correctly. About 3% of males and 1% of females have antisocial personality disorder. Out of them, about, I don't know, even smaller number become what we would call serial killers and murderers. So we're already talking about a minority and a minority. We don't understand why that happens yet. We're trying to work on it. We do not accomplish that by insisting that one sex is better than the other, or worse than the other, because we are talking about individual pathos brought on by society that allows these kind of things to happen. Once again, I will reiterate this. And Paul, by the way, you need, and this is why you've already failed at this, okay? First of all, to you, this is about your ego. This is about the fact that I have insulted you in your so-called movement, which it is nothing of the sort. This is about your ego. To me, this is about the factual information. So the question is now, Paul, you're going to continue to let your ego speak for you, which I imagine you will, or are you going to address the facts that were presented? Because that's what we're interested in. If the information provided by the CDC and the Justice Department is incorrect, why is it incorrect? More importantly, what are the contrary studies? Now, I already know the answer to these questions. I'm waiting to see if you do. Once again, Paul, this is not about ego. This is about the facts. This is what we do. And what I mean by that, I mean anybody who is involved, not just in social sciences, but in any science. It doesn't matter if you are a computer programmer. It doesn't matter if you are an engineer. This is what we do. We look at what we have, we isolate the variables, we attempt to answer the question why, and we form our opinions from that information. And the information will change over time. But one thing that is very clear at this point is the claims that you have made concerning the bias in courts, the violence of women, and indeed the general malaise of the power of feminism, whatever the hell that means, has proven to be incorrect. You need to answer these charges against you, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. I have come forward and said, you are full of shit. Of course, anybody with eyes can see that. But I have presented the information as to why you are full of shit. Now you have to present counter information. And by the way, I've noticed a distinct lack of your fanboys showing up to these videos. That's because I told you that I was going to use every comment as evidence. So you clearly got on the phone, or whatever the hell you guys use to communicate, and told them not to do it. Which is great, because I want to talk to you in the first place. I don't need your fanboys showing up and fucking with things. So if they show up and start commenting, I win. They don't show up and comment, I win. Paul, you walked right into this. You're not quite thinking clearly, Paul, and that's what I mean about ego. Your ego is leading you into this. My other channel's name was Hannibal the Victor 13, and the other one before that was Hannibal Barca 13. Hannibal, Carthaginian general. You might want to look into some of the shit that he pulled. Or you can ask libertarian realists and fringe elements about walking into traps when I lay them. I've got no qualms about this, okay? I've got the facts on my side, and I've got an insane egomaniac in front of me who will walk into any fucking trap I set, and who has just done so. This bothers me immensely, not because it worked, because it clearly did, but it bothers me so much because this same tactic has worked so many times now that I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, the simple fact of the matter is that the majority of all extremists are just plain old-fashioned stupid. But I am giving you a chance to defend what you claim is true here. But we're going to do it between you and I, nobody else. That's the beauty of this little ruse. You need to address the information to me, not to your following, not on your website, to me. I will say it again. This is between you and I, Paul. Nobody else. Your fanboys can comment all they want. I'm not going to block anybody. Let them. The fact that they aren't, though, shows me that you guys are in communication with each other and tells me exactly what I needed to know. What I needed to know is the extent of the communication that you're all involved in. Clearly, it's very close and very coordinated, showing me one thing above all other things, that your attacks against other people, be they feminist or no, are definitely coordinated by you and your buddies. So we know that you're making concerted efforts to attack certain people now. Once again, Paul, you expose yourself as the charlatan that you really are. Which also means that you are actually in charge of these fuckers. That you're controlling them like the Wicked Witch of the West controlled the flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. And it's probably the same level. Although at least the flying monkeys had something going for them. They were monkeys. You guys don't have that much going for you. And you certainly don't have the information that I'm seeking. So, let's let the flying monkeys go home, and let's discuss this like two adults. Another thing, too. I don't do this to impress chicks, okay? Up until very recently, I was dating someone anyway, so it doesn't matter. I can do other stuff to impress chicks. Believe it or not, it turns out that it's a lot of anthropology women think flint napping is sexy. I found that out a few days ago. Folks, we are archaeologists, are a weird group, so I won't even try to explain it. But the point here is, one, this isn't about impressing anyone. If I wanted to do that, I could do the shit that you guys do. I could do all kinds of things that would get me a legion of fans, but it's not about that. It's about helping the public in general to understand the world we live in, one small step at a time. We don't accomplish that by listening to ideologues and extremists, which you are. So, let's get to the brass tacks of this. I want to know why the information is inaccurate. I want to know where you guys are getting your numbers from. And more importantly, I want to see the citations of the work so that I can verify it independently. If you can't accomplish this simple task, then, frankly, it proves exactly what I've thought all along. That you guys use the anonymity of the internet to pull useless information that has no bearing in fact out of your rear ends and display it as though you know what you're talking about. This is the same thing that radical feminists do. This is the same thing that the racists have done. This is the same thing that all the extremists have done here on YouTube. Pulling numbers out of their asses, fudging those numbers and lying about them, just like your buddy One Man's Rage tried to pull with me on another video, which I will be reposting now because you guys have frankly pissed me off. And then when I look into the numbers and the statistics, they don't say what you guys claim they say. Why is that? We're in the boule right now, Paul. The Agora is watching. This is your chance to strike a blow for men. So where's your facts? This is a movement of peace? Really? So why do you want to print personal information of women who supposedly have made false accusations of rape? By the way, you don't know they're false accusations. The evidence has to inform our opinion. That's what tells us whether or not an accusation is false. Period. Forensics, psychology, investigation techniques, this is what we use to solve crimes. We don't use hearsay. We don't use your rage against some unknown woman in your past who did something to you. We have to remain as objective as humanly possible. That's what gets convictions. That's also what exonerates people when they're innocent, following the evidence wherever the evidence leads. Good investigators do it. Bad ones do what you do. They just make a blanket statement and move on. And that's how innocent people end up in jail. So what's it going to be, Paul? Ball's in your court.